fulfilled. No? And the suggested answer of the UP Law Center was X. No? Bakit si X ang entitled sa rental? Take note, ang obligation niya dito ay magbenta. No? Kaya magkakaroon ng obligation dito si Y na magbayad ng price. Okay? Kaya supposedly reciprocal yung obligation natin dito. No? For X to transfer ownership over the house and lot and for Y to pay the price. No? Kaya dito yung price, ang magiging fruits niyan ay interest. Okay, so yung interest niyan at yung rental income, yan yung ginagawa na natin nga na quits na. Kaya sinasabi na mutually compensated na lang. Kaya si Y, hindi na kailangan magbayad ng interest on the price. Si X, hindi kailangan i-deliver yung rental income. Kasi nga magiging mutually compensated na lang yung dalawang bagay na ito. No, kaya in that case, again, no, si X, kailangan na lang i-transfer yung ownership ng house and lot. Si Y, kailangan na lang bayaran yung presyo. No? Kaya walang nagiging retroactivity. Okay? Ngayon, kung kunwari sinabi dito na give, okay, instead of sell, no? Ang sabi ni X, I will give, okay, to you my house and lot. Okay, if you pass the October SIPALE. Tapos ganun pa rin, nagkaroon tayo ng rental income. Kanino naman mapupunta yung fruits or yung rental income dito kay X pa rin? Kasi according to the law, in unilateral obligations, the debtor as a general rule will be entitled to the fruits, no? Unless there is a contrary intention that appears in the obligation. So again, no, walang nagiging retroactivity relative to the fruits upon the happening of the suspensive condition. Okay? Now, pangalawa na walang retroactivity is on prescription. Kasi supposedly the cause of action, okay, ay beginning pa rin upon the happening pa of the suspensive condition, not from the day the obligation was constituted. No? Kaya kung kunwari nga na under a written contract yan, no? January nagkaroon ng obligation, okay, pero October pa na-fulfill ang condition. Kapag tinanong dyan, saan magsisimula yung running ng prescriptive period natin sa October pa? No? Kasi nga sabi natin, walang retroactivity when we talk about the period of prescription. Okay? Now, this is the most simple, no, out of all the principles for conditional obligations. Yun nga lang, ito ang pinakamadalas na natatanong. No, na supposedly when the debtor's means permit him to do so, ang treatment natin dyan ay obligation with the period. No, kaya sasabihin the debtor is obligated to the creditor for 10,000, payable when his means permit him to do so. Ang treatment natin dyan ay obligation with the period at hindi conditional obligation. Bakit? Kasi ang tingin dito ng batas, yung means of the debtor permitting him to do so is an event that is certain to happen. Okay, certain to happen. Although we don't know exactly when. Like death. No, ganon din ang concept dyan. So death is certain to happen but we don't know when. Ganon din yung when his means permit him to do so. Kaya ang nagiging treatment natin dyan is an obligation with a period, no? Instead of a conditional obligation. And meron din tayong concept ng conditions with a deadline. Dito, no, dalawang bagay ang mag-extinguish ng obligation pag nag-expire na yung period agreed upon or it has become indubitable that the event will not take place. Ibig sabihin, sure na hindi yan mangyayari. So for example, eto si debtor, may utang kay, or sabi ni debtor kay creditor, bibigyan kita ng 100,000 pesos if, no, yan yung magiging condition natin, if you marry X by December 31 of 2024. So meron tayong suspensive condition pero meron ding deadline, no, kung hanggang kailan dapat gagawin or dapat ma-fulfill yung condition na ito. Kaya kung kunwari January na, okay, ng 2025, no, extinguished na ang obligation natin dahil nag-expire na yung period agreed upon by the parties. Or kung kunwari June pa lang 2024, no, itong si X ay namatay na, no, extinguished na rin yung obligation natin diyan kasi hindi na siya mapapakasalan pa ni C. Na hindi na mapapakasala. Eh sir, pwede naman na kahit patay, bubuhatin na lang po. Nako, kung ano man ang naiisip ng mga fetish sa buhay, wag mo nang i-apply yan kapag batas ang pinag-uusapan natin. No, kaya kung hindi na yan, dahil patay na, hindi na siya makakapagpakasal, no, hindi na yan. Okay, it has become indubitable that the event will no longer take place. No? Kaya again, the law treats the obligation as extinguished already. No? Dahil hindi na nga mangyayari yung condition agreed upon by the parties. Okay? Now, ito lang yung rules natin during the pendency of the suspensive condition. Ang pinag-uusapan dapat natin dito ay specific or determinate thing. No, yung i-deliver natin. So habang inaantay natin na matapos or ma-fulfill yung suspensive condition, three things can happen here. It can be loss of the thing, deterioration or impairment of the thing, or pwede namang magkaroon ng improvement. Okay? Loss happens when it goes out of commerce or it cannot be located or even though we know its location, it cannot be retrieved. No, yan yung concept natin ng loss. So kung sakali na magkakaroon tayo ng loss pero wala namang fault on the part of the debtor, ang magiging effect lang niya na extinguish na ang obligation. Now, without any liability from the debtor himself. No, dahil nga hindi naman na mangyayari or rather dahil wala na yung object na i-deliver. Pero kung merong fault on the part of the debtor, then magiging obligation to pay damages na lang yung obligation to give the determinate thing. Now, the damages will be because there is fault on the part of the debtor. Okay? Now, kung sakali naman na hindi nawala pero nagkaroon ng deterioration without the debtor's fault, the impairment as a result of the deterioration will just be borne by the creditor. Okay? Kasi wala namang fault on the part of the debtor, kaya kay creditor na lang yung impairment na yan. Pero kung may fault on the part of the debtor, dalawa ang choices ng ating creditor. Pwede pa rin niyang ipapatuloy yung pag-fulfill ng ating obligation or pwedeng i-cancel na lang or i-rescind yung obligation na yan. In either case, entitled pa rin siya to damages. No? Kasi nga, merong fault on the part of the debtor. Okay? Now, kung sakali naman na magkaroon ng improvement and the improvement was without any participation on the part of the debtor, kaya nga by nature or time lang, any improvement of such kind will then go to the creditor na. Now, like for example, lupa ang i-deliver ni debtor kay creditor. No? Nagkaroon lang ng mga puno, nagkaroon ng mga halaman na hindi naman siya ang nagtanim, kay creditor lahat yan mapupunta. Kasi medyo weird din yung idea na yung lupa kay creditor na tapos sa'yo yung halaman. 'Di ba? Ang weird, no? Paano mo i-maintain, paano mo pupuntahan? So lahat 'yan mapupunta rin sa creditor natin, no? Pero kung ginastusan, no, ng ating debtor yung improvement, okay? Ang sabi lang ng batas is he will have no better right than that of a usufructuary. At ano ba ang karapatan ng usufructuary? Pinapayagan lang siyang i-remove, no, yung improvement na yan if it will not cause damage, okay, to the thing itself. No, pero other than that, kung ito ay magkukos ng damage doon sa object mismo, wala na siyang karapatan to remove it. No, pero all in all or in summary, walang entitlement to reimbursement dahil lang ginastusan niya yung improvement na yan. No, kaya kung kunwari, no, etong si D, ang obligation niya to C is to deliver a car, specific car, no, subject to a suspensive condition. Ang ginawa niya dito, nagkaroon ng pintura, pinapinturahan niya ng mas maganda, no, at pinalitan din niya yung mga tires. Okay, in that case, ano ang magiging karapatan ni D? Pwede ba niya ipatanggal yung pintura? Hindi. No, because it will cause damage to the car itself. Pero pwede ba niyang tanggalin yung tires at ibalik yung lumang tires? The answer will be yes. No, kasi hindi naman niya hindi magkukos ng damage kung papalitan lang natin yung tires ng kotse. No, but again, in either case na pwede niyang tanggalin or hindi, walang entitlement to reimbursement yung ating debtor. No, ang premise din kasi diyan, no, ay magkakaroon naman ng possibility talaga na i-deliver niya yan to the creditor. Bakit pa niya ginastusan ng improvement? No, kaya ganyan na magiging rule natin. Kasi yung iba ang naiisip, di ba parang unfair, sir? No? And take note that these same rules on loss, deterioration, and improvement will be applicable also with an obligation with a suspensive period. Okay, relative to an obligation to deliver to give or deliver a specific or determinate thing. Applicable po ba all three during the pendency, both suspensive and resolutory? Hindi po. Sa suspensive lang. Okay, sa suspensive lang mag-a-apply itong tatlo. Okay? Now, what will be the effect of the happening of a resolutory condition? Mutual restitution. Now, again, the happening of the resolutory condition extinguishes, okay, the obligation. No? Kaya kung sakali na ito ay obligation to give, magsosolian ang parties. Whatever they received under the obligation as if the obligation did not exist to begin with. No? Kaya nagkakaroon dito ng tinatawag na mutual restitution kasi magsosolian sila kung ano man natatanggap nila under the obligation once the resolutory condition is fulfilled. Okay? Now, again, no, with the obligation with the period or term, ito nga yung meron tayong certain length of time that is sure to arrive, no, or an event certain to happen. At dalawa nga ang magiging epekto, either it will determine the effectivity, at yan yung tinatawag nating suspensive period, or it will extinguish an already existing or demandable obligation, yan yung ating resolutory period. Na? Unlike a condition, again, a period is one that is certain to arrive or must necessarily come. Na? Even though we don't know exactly when it will arrive. And the most common nga na hindi natin alam exactly when it will happen ay yung death. No, yan ang kadalasan na example na na-encounter natin. No? Siguro ang pinakamahirap lang i-apply yan kung sakali ay kay Senator Enrile. No? Kasi parang immortal eh. No, hindi, joke lang. Okay? Pero ganun nga yung idea. No? As compared to a condition which is an event that may or may not happen. Okay? Now, the periods can be classified with as to definiteness on whether it is definite or indefinite. Now, yung definite period natin yung may specific date. Nag-agree kayo December 31, no, 2024 or sasabihin 30 days. Ayan. Okay, after December 31, 2024, pareho lang yan. No? Specific date pa rin or definite term because we know exactly when it will arrive. Kahit pa magko-compute ka. No? Kunwari sabihin, I will pay you 100,000 when tawag ito, as to the number of days after December 31, no, to the square root of the sine, cosine, tangent, na logarithm, ganyan-ganyan. Now, pwede pa rin kasi certain pa rin yun. Yun nga lang kailangan mo pang computein. Okay? Pero definite period pa rin na magiging classification natin dyan. Kasi sa indefinite natin, dyan nga pumapasok yung mga event that is certain to happen although we don't know exactly when it will happen. Like death or yung when the debtor's means permit him to do so. No? Doon yun pumapasok sa mga indefinite period. Now, we can also classify a period as to the source. No? Kaya if it is imposed by law, legal period, like the deadlines to file your tax returns, voluntary or conventional, no? In some authors, ang tawag ay conventional period. Okay, kapag agreed upon by the parties, okay, and judicial kapag courts ang nagfi-fix ng period. Okay? Kailan courts ang magfi-fix ng period? Like for example, kung reciprocal obligation yan, no, na supposedly each of the parties will have their respective obligation. Like for example, a sale. No, so ito magde-deliver dapat itong si S, itong si B naman magpe-pay ng price. Let's say nag-deliver na si S. Supposedly pwede nang i-rescind. No, but if the courts would find it na pwede namang mag-fix na lang ng period para sa obligation ni B to pay the price, pwedeng mag-fix na lang ng period ang court. No, at yan nga yung tinatawag natin na judicial term or judicial period. Okay? Now, it can also be considered ex die kung merong suspensive effect or in diem kung merong resolutory effect. Again, sa suspensive natin, the arrival of the period gives rise to its demandability. Sa resolutory naman, it extinguishes the already demandable obligation. Okay? Yun yung ex die at in diem na mga periods natin. Okay? Now, ito yung instances nga when the courts can fix the period. Una na nga sa reciprocal obligations natin. Now, when one party would claim rescission but the courts would find it justifiable na mag-fix na lang ng period. No? Kaya sa i-rescind yung obligation natin. Pangalawa ay kung sakaling intended na mga parties na merong period, no? Pero the obligation itself did not fix a period. So, kunwari si S, nagbenta dito kay B, nakalagay sa invoice na binigay niya on credit. Okay, pero wala naman nakalagay na payment terms, no? In that case, pwedeng courts na lang ang magfi-fix ng period, no? Kasi from the very obligation itself, it can be inferred that they intended a period although the obligation itself did not fix the period per se. No? Or lastly, if the obligation is solely dependent on the will of the debtor lang. No? Take note, period ang pinag-uusapan dito. Kung yan ay condition, no, yan yung potestative condition na tinatawag natin na pwedeng maging void yung obligation. Kaya kapag potestative period at solely dependent on the will of the debtor, it will just authorize the courts to fix the period, no? But not necessarily that the obligation will be void. Okay? Now, as a general rule, the benefit of the period will be for both the debtor and the creditor. No? But by exception, magiging depende yan sa tenor ng obligation natin. No? Na pag tinignan mo, yung wordings na ginamit, that the period was established in favor of one or the other only. Kaya as a rule, no, kapag ito ay for the benefit of both the debtor and the creditor, na hindi pwedeng pagbayarin ang debtor before the arrival of the period at hindi rin pwedeng i-compel si creditor to accept payment before the arrival of the period. Kaya kung kunwari, ngayon, si debtor may utang kay creditor 100,000. Ang naging agreement nila ay babayaran niya, nakalagay lang due December 31, 2024. Okay? Ngayon, kung kunwari ngayon June pa lang, nakaipon na itong si D at gusto niya ng bayaran. Pwede niya na bang bayaran yan? Pwede. Pero pwede ba niyang pilitin si creditor na tanggapin yung bayad? Hindi. Okay? Ang nagiging tanong dito na iba, bakit naman ayaw ng creditor? Nagbabayad na nga yung debtor. For all we know, baka mamaya interest bearing yan. Gusto lang ni creditor na may utang sa kanya ang mga tao. No? Pero bawal nga siyang pilitin kasi para sa kanya din ang benefit ng period. But take note, na ang idea kasi dito ay bawal lang i-compel. No? Pero nothing prevents the creditor from accepting kung gusto niya. Okay? Ang bawal lang ay pilitin. Okay? Pero kung kunwari nakalagay, no, sa terms ng obligation nakalagay payable, okay, on or before December 31, 2024. Pwede na bang magbayad ng June 2024 si D at pilitin si C? The answer will be yes. No, dahil sa tenor, no, ng obligation natin, the period was constituted for the benefit of the debtor only. No, kasi nakalagay na pwede niyang bayaran even before the arrival of the period. Or kung ang term na ginagamit ay collectible on or before December 31, edi for the benefit of the creditor lang. No, but otherwise, kung due date lang ang nakalagay, no, and from wala ka namang ma-infer na para sa isa lang sa kanila, ang presumption natin would be for the benefit of both the debtor and the creditor ang period natin. Okay? Now, there are 5 instances, however, in the law when the debtor loses the right to make use of the period. Anong ibig sabihin dito? Immediately demandable na. Okay, yung obligation, no? Kasi hindi niya na pwedeng gamitin yung period, kaya pwede na siyang kolektahan kahit hindi pa nag-a-agree or hindi pa nag-a-arrive yung period agreed upon by the parties, no? Like for example, sige, one generic example lang tayo, the debtor is liable to the creditor for 1 million due on December 31, 2024. Tapos the first situation ay naging insolvent ang debtor. Kunwari naging insolvent siya June pa lang. No, pwede na bang kolektahin yan ng creditor? The answer is yes. No, kasi ang idea dito, hindi naman natin pipilitin si creditor na antayin pa yung December 31 para makakolekta dahil ang chances ay baka lalong wala na siyang makolekta. No, pag naging insolvent na yung debtor, magiging immediately demandable na rin yung kanyang obligation. Pangalawa, kung sakaling nag-promise no, ng guarantee or security itong ating debtor pero hindi niya naman binigay. Like for example nga dito, si debtor no, may utang kay creditor 1 million. Sabi niya, I will give you a gold watch and a diamond ring as security for my obligation pero hindi niya naman dineliver. No, bakit nagiging immediately demandable? Kasi ang idea dito ng batas, the creditor agreed to the period only because of the security or the guarantee that was promised. No, kaya kung hindi mangyayari na mabigay yung guarantee or security, di demandable na kasi yun lang naman ang dahilan kung bakit nag-agree sa period yung creditor natin. Okay? Pangatlo, nagbigay nga no nung guarantee or nung security. Pero yung guarantee or security na to ay nag-disappear. No? Even if it is caused by a fortuitous event. Except kung magbibigay ng panibagong security or guarantee yung ating debtor. No? Like for example, nag-execute ang real estate mortgage over his house. No, pero ito nasira kasi na-struck ng lightning at nagkaroon ng sunog. Yan, magiging demandable na ba? The answer is yes. No, sabi dito ng iba, sir, hindi ba unfair na wala na nga ng bahay yung debtor tapos demandable ba kagad yung kanyang obligation? Well, to be fair, siya naman ang may-ari, no? That's why the loss will be borne by the owner. No, yan nga yung tinatawag nating res perit domino. No, that the thing perishes with the owner. Pangalawa, hindi rin naman kasalanan ng creditor kung bakit nasira yung security that was provided. And pangatlo, andun pa rin tayo sa idea that the creditor agreed to the period only because there was a security provided. No? At dahil wala na nga yung security na ito, no, wala na rin yung period agreed upon. Kaya naging immediately demandable na yung obligation na ito. Okay? Pang-apat ay kung may violation ng undertaking. No? At yung undertaking na yan ang dahilan bakit nag-agree sa period yung creditor natin. Kaya kung kunwari, no, itong si debtor nga, may utang kay creditor na 1 million. Tapos, ang undertaking niya supposedly ay hindi na siya pupunta sa casino. Okay? Sabi niya, sige, bibigyan kita ng 1 million, pero babayaran ko yan December 31 na. No? Promise na hindi na ako magsusugal sa casino. Ngayon, nakita ni creditor, no, itong si debtor, na tumatambay doon sa Resorts World Manila. Okay? So yung pala naglalaro pa rin, no? Magiging demandable na ba at once? The answer is yes. No? Kasi nga supposedly nag-agree lang sa period yung creditor natin because of that undertaking at na-violate pa. No? And lastly, if the debtor attempts to abscond, no? Take note, attempt to abscond pa lang, no? Pwede na dito maging demandable at once yung obligation. Kasi kung i-require natin yan na nakapag-abscond na ang debtor bago maging demandable, baka lalong hindi pa makakolekta yung creditor natin. Kaya kung kunwari nga ito, may utang si debtor kay creditor 1 million, December 31 pa ang due date. Now, dumalaw ngayon si creditor sa bahay ng debtor. Nakita niya na nag-e-empake ito. Sabi niya, oh, debtor, saan ka pupunta? Sabi niya, naku, magbabakasyon lang ako. Magbabakasyon ka, dala mo yung ref mo. No, dala mo yung TV mo sa bakasyon mo, pwede niya nang kolektahin yan kasi may attempt to abscond na. Dahil nga kung hihintayin pa niya yung due date, baka lalong hindi niya na makita yung debtor. No? Kaya again, in all the 5 instances mentioned here, the obligation becomes due and demandable at once. No? Kaya ang tinatawag lang that the debtor loses the right to make use of the period. Anyway, so balik tayo dito no, on the kinds of obligations as to plurality of prestation. Nagre-record. Attorney, pwede mong pa-explain ulit nung part na when through fortuitous event, they disappear sa debtor's loss of the benefit of the period. Basta nawala na yung security or guarantee, no, magiging demandable at once. Again, on the premise that the creditor agreed to the period only because of the guarantee or the security. Kaya kung nawala na yung security, magiging demandable at once dahil wala na yung reason, no, kung bakit nag-agree yung creditor natin sa period. So, i-recommend nyo po ba na mag-codals kami or stick na lang kami sa reviewer books namin? Now, I would suggest you stick to the handouts that are provided to you because we try to make it as comprehensive as possible already. Now, if you do have time, why not? No, na mag-codal provisions ka pa. Yun nga lang kasi ang tendency if you start with codal and codal lang ang binabasa mo, it will be harder for you to interrelate no yung mga provisions to each other. Hindi katulad kasi like yung mga handouts ninyo, ginawa ko na talaga yan in such a way na yung mga connected provisions are related to each other na no para mas madali and yung flow din ng discussion is something that is supposedly easier to understand and remember. No, pero yun nga, if you have time, no, and I suppose kung yung flow doon sa discussion doesn't work for you, then why not? Okay, yun lang ang nagiging tendency dyan. If you stick to the codal provisions, the usual tendency is that it will be harder for you to correlate, no, the provisions to each other. And more often than not, they do relate to other provisions. Okay? Anyway, so as to plurality of prestation, so ang marami no? Kaya yung plural ay yung prestation natin, no? Marami yung prestation. So pwede ditong conjunctive kapag ang term na ginagamit ay end. Okay? Kaya ibig sabihin dito, lahat ay kailangan ma-fulfill in order for the obligation to be extinguished. Okay? Hindi katulad kapag tinatawag nating alternative obligation na or ang ginagamit dito. No, kaya the fulfillment of one of the prestations is sufficient to extinguish the entire obligation na. And as opposed to what we call also facultative, na meron kang principal, okay, prestation, pero kasi si debtor ay pwedeng mag-substitute, no, ng ibang prestation to that of the principal prestation. Okay, kaya magiging focus ng discussion natin ay yung alternative at facultative. Sir, importante po ba nakabisado yung article number? Hindi po. No, hindi naman tinatanong yung article number pagdating sa board exam. In fact, kahit sa bar, no, hindi recommended that you write the actual article number, no? Kasi pag nagpo-coaching, ang recommendation lang is to indicate under the civil code, under the law on obligations, no, ganun lang ka-generic. Kaya wala namang isang tao na kabisado niya lahat 'yan. Na I suppose except lang other laws like insurance law, negotiable instruments law, kabisado kasi yun ni Dean Sundiang, no, yung isang prof ko dati sa law school. Yung mga standards, no, 'yan kabisado ni Dean Empleo, yan sa UST. Pero sa pagdating sa batas, it's weird kung tatanungin ka anong article number to. Walang ganun. Yung RA number, sir, dapat po ba kabisado? I don't think so also. No, although there was an instance before na tinanong yan, pero it would be impractical. Kaya nga minsan ang weird din ng tanungan sa board exam kasi why would you need to remember the Republic Act number? No, if it's something that you can actually just look into, no, if you're going to cite it. Anyway, so going back, ito na nga yung tatlong klase at ang magiging focus natin dyan ay yung alternative at facultative. No? Sa alternative obligations, again, only one of them is sufficient to extinguish the entire obligation. Marami ang prestation pero isa lang ultimately ang magiging demandable, no, na magiging obligation or prestation natin. Okay? As a general rule, the right of choice belongs to the debtor. How will that translate? Kapag nagkaroon tayo ng case type or situational question pagdating sa exam at hindi binanggit kung sino ang may right of choice, si debtor. No? If the problem is silent, the debtor. Kasi nga generally the debtor has the right of choice. Pero pwede rin naman kasing expressly granted to the creditor or a third party. Yun nga lang yan, it has to be provided in the problem for it to be applicable. Okay? Now, the debtor's choices will be limited in such a way na hindi niya pwedeng piliin yung mga prestations that are impossible or unlawful. No? Kaya kung kunwari, ang kanilang prestations is a specific cow to be delivered, a specific carabao or shabu. No? Itong shabu, hindi pwedeng piliin ng debtor, no? Kasi nga illegal, no? Or impossible or unlawful yung pag-deliver niyan. Okay? Ganun na magiging limitation on the right of choice ng debtor natin. Okay? Now, kung sakaling ma-communicate na kung ano ang napiling prestation, that is what we call concentration. And technically speaking, magiging simple obligation na lang siya dahil isa na lang, no, ang magiging prestation natin once the choice has already been communicated. Okay? And take note na pag tayo ay namili, hindi pwedeng part of one and part of another. Kasi nga specific or determinate ang pinag-uusapan dito. So hindi naman pwedeng sabihin ng debtor dyan, okay lang bang bewang pababa ng cow, no? Tas bewang pataas ng carabao ang ibibigay ko sa'yo. Hindi pwede. No? Kasi nga, it cannot be part of, ang weird. Parang gagawa ka pa ng chimera. Okay? And when in all of the choices, isa na lang ang natitira na pwedeng piliin, wala nang right of choice. No? Kasi logically, wala nang choice yung debtor kung hindi piliin yung natitira na lang na prestation. Ngayon, pagdating sa exam, however, ang nagiging tanungan dito ay nagkakaroon ng loss, no, ng mga objects na pinag-uusapan natin. And supposedly, the loss happens before concentration pa. Okay, hindi pa nako-communicate yung choice, no? Kaya bago mangyari yung loss na pinag-uusapan natin. So dito magma-matter muna sino ang may right of choice. If the debtor has the right of choice and all the things were lost because of fortuitous event, na mai-extinguish lang yung obligation natin without any liability on the part of the debtor. Kaya kunwari, no, again, specific cow, specific carabao, specific horse, no? Yan yung kanilang pinag-usapan, nakalagay diyan or. No, kaya alternative ang obligation. Nothing in the problem suggests na binigay sa creditor or sa ibang tao yung ating right of choice kaya kay debtor. Ngayon, kung sakali, no, na bumagyo, no, at nagkaroon ng inundation, yan, doon sa farm at namatay lahat itong mga hayop na ito. Na in that case, extinguish lang yung obligation without any liability on the part of the debtor. Okay? Pero if all the things were lost because of the fault of the debtor, he will be liable for the value of the last thing that was lost together with damages. Kasi nga, merong fault on the part of the debtor. Bakit yung last? Kasi ang logic dito is that supposedly, nung pinatay, kunwari kasi ganito ang wording yan, no? Normally, in one board exam question na tinanong yan, sinabi lang na the debtor obligated himself to deliver a specific cow, a specific carabao, and a specific horse, and all the things were lost in the order they were mentioned with the fault of the debtor. No? In that case, ano ang magiging liability niya? Yung value ng horse. No? Kasi supposedly, nung pinatay niya yung cow, no, hindi siya liable dyan dahil lang he is exercising his right of choice. No? Kaya nung pinatay niya yung carabao, ganun din. Kaya isa na lang ang natitira, yung horse na lang talaga. Pero dahil nga pinatay niya rin yan, yung value na lang ang i-deliver niya dahil nga hindi niya na ma-deliver yung mismong horse dahil namatay na. Okay? Again, kaya hindi siya liable for the value of the other two because he is merely exercising his right of choice. Okay? If all the things were lost because of his fault. Okay? What if po di na-communicate formally but diniretso na nang i-fulfill yung isang prestation? Okay lang po ba yun? Yes. Now, that will be technically concentration na rin kasi nag-perform na at the same time na in-inform. Okay? Now, if some of the prestation were lost, no, but not all of them, because of fortuitous event or the fault of the debtor, mamimili na lang siya dun sa mga natitira pa. Again, dahil lang may nawala na prestation, kahit pa may fault na yan, no, he's just merely exercising his right of choice kaya walang liability for damages. Kaya in our example, no, na supposedly magde-deliver nga ng specific cow, specific carabao, or specific horse, pinatay niya yung horse. Mamimili na lang siya doon sa cow or sa carabao, no? Pero hindi siya liable dahil pinatay niya yung horse. Okay? Dahil nga nasa kanya ang right of choice dito. Pero kung sakaling si creditor ang may fault, kaya hindi tuloy makapili yung debtor natin, no? Dahil si creditor ang may fault, no? Dalawa ang magiging option ni debtor. Okay? Take note kay debtor, itong mga options na ito, pwede siyang mag-rescind, no, and ask for damages, or pwede pa rin naman siyang mag-perform from the remaining prestations and then ask for damages. In either case, the damages here will be demandable from the creditor, no? Kasi siya nga yung at fault. Alright? Now, on the other hand, if the right of choice belongs to our creditor, take note, expressly granted, and all the things were lost because of fortuitous event, then extinguish lang din. No? Kasi as we will be discussing later on, no person can be made liable for fortuitous event. No? Kaya ang magiging result lang yan, extinguish na. No? Pero walang nagiging liable. Pero again, kung kunwaring specific cow, specific carabao, specific horse, no, yung ating agreement dito, and all the things were lost because of the fault of the debtor, now in that case, value of any of the objects or prestations ang magiging claim ng creditor natin, plus damages dahil nga merong fault. Now, bakit any? Kanina, pag si debtor ang may right of choice, yung last, no, kasi nga namimili lang siya. Ang idea dito is that just because all the things were lost, it doesn't mean that the creditor loses the right of choice. No, meron pa rin. Kaya pwede pa rin siyang mamili kung yung cow, yung carabao, or yung horse yung trip niya. Pero dahil nga wala na lahat yan, yung value na lang ng mapipili niya yung i-deliver sa kanya. No? Pero ang idea, meron pa ring right of choice on the part of our creditor. Okay? Now, if some of the things were lost but not all of them because of fortuitous event, mamimili na lang sa natitira yung ating creditor. Pero kung may fault on the part of the debtor kaya nawala yung iba, no, pwede pa ring mamili dito yung creditor kung yung price na lang ba nung nawala or mamimili na lang siya sa remaining natin, in either case ask for damages. Ang idea pa rin dito, again, hindi nawawala or nadidiminish yung right of choice ng ating creditor. Kaya kung kunwari yung cow, pinatay ng debtor natin, pwede pa rin bang piliin yan ng creditor? Pwede pa rin. Yun nga lang, dahil patay na yung specific cow, yung value na lang or yung price ang ibibigay ng debtor. Or alternatively, pwede pa rin yung carabao or yung horse. Ang premise pa rin dito, even if some of the objects were lost, tatlo pa rin ang choices ng creditor. No? Ganun pa rin ang idea natin dyan. Pero dahil nga may fault on the part of the debtor, then magiging liable siya for damages. Okay? Now, with regards a facultative obligation, again, meron lang tayo ditong principal prestation at meron din tayong substitute. No? Pero take note dito, unlike in alternative obligations that the right of choice may belong to the creditor, pagdating sa facultative obligation, si debtor lang ang merong right to substitute. No? Laging choice lang ng debtor. Hindi siya pwedeng pilitin ng creditor to make the substitution. So dito, magmamatter dyan, yung event natin dito na magmamatter ay kung nagkaroon na ba ng substitution. Okay, ang tatandaan lang natin dito, laging isang prestation lang ang due and demandable at any given point in time. Kaya kung before the substitution ang pinag-uusapan natin at ang nawala dito ay yung principal prestation, in that case magiging extinguished na. Okay, pero kung yung substitute ang mawawala, no, or magkakaroon ng loss, walang magiging epekto yan kasi hindi naman yan yung prestation na due and demandable. Pero kung after the substitution na, tsaka tayo nagkaroon ng loss at yung principal lang nawala, yan ngayon wala ng epekto. Kasi nga nakapag-substitute na, hindi na yan yung prestation na due and demandable. Pero yung kung substitute, yan yung magiging extinguished na, no, ang ating obligation. Okay? Again, at any point in time, there's only one prestation that will be due and demandable. Before substitution, that will be the principal prestation. After the substitution, that will be the substitute na. No, yun lang ang tatandaan natin dito. Kaya ganyan yung table natin dyan. No? But take note, when we talk about lost here, ang premise yan ay fortuitous event. No? Kaya extinguish lang ang nagiging resulta. Pero kung yung loss natin dyan ay may fault, on the part of the debtor, magkakaroon dyan ng liability for damages. Now, in the event of loss of the principal before substitution or loss of the substitute after substitution, kung may fault, damages. No? Pero yun nga ang pinagkaiba lang, the right to substitute is with the debtor lamang. No? Hindi ito nabibigay sa creditor natin. Okay? Ngayon, the kinds of obligations as to multiple parties. So dito naman ang marami ay yung mga parties involved. Now in that case, we classify it as solidary if any one of the debtor can be made liable for the entire obligation or any one of the creditors can demand the whole obligation. Kaya kung kunwari, so ABC, solidary debtors, no, liable to X and Y, solidary creditors for 60,000, si X, magkano ang masisingil kay C? 60,000. Kasi any one of the debtors can be made liable for the entire obligation. Any one of the solidary creditors can demand the entire obligation also. As opposed to what we call a joint obligation, no? Where supposedly each of the debtors and each of the creditors will have their proportionate part of the obligation only, and they will be considered as independent of each other. Okay? And lastly, yung tinatawag nating disjunctive, no? Normally yung or ang makikita natin dyan. So pwede yung debtor 1 or debtor 2 is liable to creditor, or the debtor is liable to creditor 1 or creditor 2. Now, para in all technicalities, disjunctive obligations is not provided in the civil code. No? This is a brainchild of most civil law authors. And the rules on solidary obligations din ang ina-apply natin sa disjunctive obligations na ito. Okay? So simulan natin sa solidary. Kailan nagiging solidary ang obligation? When expressly so stated or stipulated by the parties. The Supreme Court already provided the following terms that will indicate solidarity. No? Pero makikita mo dyan na magiging commonality yung premise na anyone, no, can be made liable for the entire obligation or anyone can demand the entire obligation. Siguro ang iingatan nyo lang dyan yung mga Latin, no? Yung mancomunada solidaria, juntos o separadamente. Kaya yan yung mga pwede, no? Para hindi puro solution indebity yung alam nyo na spells ng Harry Potter. Okay? Now, individually and collectively, and kung sakali nga may promissory note na more than one person ang liable, pero ang nakalagay I promise to pay, no? Kaya any one of them, no? Yung individually, ibig sabihin kahit sino, no? Separately, collectively, distinctively, pag yan yung kasunod ng pag-enumerate ng mga debtors natin, solidary na ang obligation nila. Okay? Or when the law so provides for solidarity or when the nature of the obligation requires solidarity. Kaya take note, we don't presume the existence of solidarity. Dapat there is a stipulation or there is a specific provision or by nature, no, nagiging solidary na. Okay? Pero kung silent ang problem na ma-encounter natin, and kadalasan, yung problem nga pagdating sa mga ganitong provisions, no, ay rather ang questions pagdating sa mga ganitong provisions ay problem type, no? Pero pag silent, ang presumption natin joint. Okay? Kasi dapat nag-i-exist ang kahit ano sa tatlong yan para masabi natin na merong solidarity. Okay? Now, kailan nagiging provided for by law? No? I'll give you 5 examples on when the law specifically provides for solidarity. Okay? Una, with regards the law on succession. So dito, manahan. May dalawang heirs, 2 or more heirs, who took a property from the estate bago pa magkaroon ng distribution. No? Kaya they are solidarily liable for the loss or destruction by specific provision of the law. Okay? With regards that of an agency, no? Dahil si agent acted beyond his authority or supposedly without any authority, pero nag-agree naman, no, yung principal natin as if merong kapangyarihan yung agent na yon to perform the act, solidary din ang liability nilang dalawa. Okay? Or with regards that of a bill, no, yung may pinahiram na gamit, 2 or more ang nanghiram ng gamit, solidary din ang liability nila. Okay? Or with regards that of our solution indebity, no, na merong 2 or more payees, no, solidary din ang liability nila to return. And in quasi-delict, no, lahat din yan solidary ang nagiging liability ng 2 or more persons. Okay? Now, wala tayong example dun sa by nature kasi technically nako-cover na rin ng batas, no? Kasi like for example, sa pets, okay? Sa pets din, may vicarious liability din ng pet owners, no? Like for example, nakakagat yung aso mo. Okay? Hindi naman pwedeng sabihin na pag nakakagat yung aso mo, tapos nagpa-injection yung nakagat, tapos sinisingil ka ngayon, sasabi mo, hindi, joint kami ng aso ko, tigkalahati kami ng babayaran. No? So by nature, dapat solidary ang obligation mo as a pet owner, pero kino-cover na kasi ng specific provision ng batas, no? Kaya nagiging solidary na rin by law. Okay? So again, ano na ngayon ang rules na gagamitin natin pag solidary ang obligation? Unang-una, no, any one of the debtors may pay any one of the solidary creditors. Yun nga lang, pag meron nang nag-demand sa kanila, nire-require na ng batas na dapat yung payment natin ay dun sa nagde-demand na solidary creditor. No? Because demand was already made. Pangalawa, all the modes of extinguishing an obligation will be equally applicable in a solidary obligation. And any one of the solidary creditors can effect these extinguishment or modes of extinguishment, and any one of the solidary debtors can be a party to such. No, yun nga lang yan, magkakaroon dito ng liability si creditor na dapat hahatian niya yung kanyang mga co-creditors sa kanyang makokolekta or dun sa obligation na dahil na-extinguish na sa kanyang fault lang, no? Pero dito, ang general rule natin, entitled din si debtor with regards the reimbursement, no, sa kanyang mga claim. Yun nga lang, pag may creditor na nag-remit or nag-condone na ng obligation, pero dito na may liability pa rin yung solidary co-debtor natin sa kanyang mga co-debtors in case the debt was already paid prior to the remission or the condonation. Kasi ang premise pa rin dyan, the extinguishment of the obligation was still done through payment. Okay? And kung sakaling remission ang naging dahilan kung bakit na-extinguish yung buong obligation dahil sa isang debtor, walang entitlement to reimbursement. So ganito, para lang to simplify, no? At para maintindihan natin mabuti. Again, yung novation, compensation, confusion. Ayan. Okay, sama na rin natin dito yung payment. Okay, ayan. Ihihiwalay lang natin dito yung condonation or remission. Pero mode of extinguishment of an obligation din ito. Na ayan, remission or condonation of debt. Now, kasi dito, as to who can effect, no, sabi natin, any one of the creditors and any one of the debtors din. Okay, ang nagiging tanong tuloy dyan, may reimbursement ba na mangyayari? The answer is yes. The creditor as to his co-creditors, dapat magbibigay siya ng share nila. Okay? At yung debtor natin who effected the extinguishment will be entitled to reimbursement also, no, from his co-creditors. Okay? Pagdating sa condonation or remission, ganun din. Any one of the creditors or any one of the debtors din, no, can effect the condonation or remission. Ang pinagkaiba lang yan, si creditor, required pa rin magbigay sa co-creditors niya. Pero si debtor dito, wala ng reimbursement. Okay? So sige, let's give an example para lang you can visualize this better, no? Pero ganyan basically yung magiging effect natin dito. Okay? So kung kunwari, ayan, etong si A, B at C, okay, solidary debtors ay may utang dito sa ating creditors na si X and Y. Let's say 60,000 pesos, no, yung utang na yan. Ngayon, nagkaroon ng agreement dito si X at si C na sabi, pipinturahan na lang paint the house, ayan, of X. Kaya dito anong nangyari? Nagkaroon ng novation. Ano ngayon na magiging effect nitong novation na from payment of money, naging obligation to do. No? Dahil pipinturahan na lang yung bahay ni X, ma-extinguish na yung obligation nila, yung buong 60,000. Kahit na isang debtor lang ang gagawa ng pagpintura ng bahay at isang creditor lang ang nakinabang sa pagpipintura ng bahay. Pero, again, it will give rise to the obligation of X na dapat i-share niya kay Y. So, yung 30,000 na share dapat mapunta pa rin kay Y. At itong si A at B, required pa rin mag-reimburse dito kay C, no? Ng tig 20,000 pesos. Okay? Kasi nga, nakinabang din sila doon sa ginawang novation nitong si C. Okay? Na, kung kunwari, baguhin lang natin ng konti. No? Itong si A, B at C, again, solidary debtors. May utang dito kay X and Y, 60,000. Kay solidary creditors ito. Now, ngayon, itong si X nanliligaw kay B. Sabi niya kay BB, ano bang kailangan para sagutin mo ko? Do, mahal na mahal kita. Sabi ni B, 60,000. O, di ba? Ganun lang kasimple. So, ang ginawa ni X, sabi niya, sige, i-condone ko na. Okay, yung entire obligation na yan. No? In that case, may extinguish ba yung 60,000? The answer is yes. Kasi it can be affected by any one of the creditors even if it is in favor of one of the debtors only or pertaining to the entire obligation. But again, X will be required to give Y his share of 30,000. Pero dito required ba si A at si C na mag-reimburse kay B? Hindi na. No, hindi natin binabayaran kung ang dahilan lang kung bakit na-extinguish siya ay ganda lang, no? Kung ganda lang ang puhunan, no? Hindi yan kasali sa nire-reimburse natin. Okay? Kaya yan, anyone can effect the extinguishment of the obligation, pero yung entitlement to reimbursement sa remission or condonation, walang entitlement yung debtor natin. Okay? Now, take note, however, that all available defenses can be obtained or can be raised, no, by the debtor that can be personal to him, related to that of the obligation, or even personal to his co-debtors. No? Pwede niya yang gamitin. Yan yung mga tinatawag nating total defenses and partial defenses. Kailan nagiging total? Kapag total defenses, it relates personal to him, to the debtor, or it relates to the obligation itself. No, related itong total defense na ito. Kaya pag tinanong diyan magkano ang babayaran niya, zero na ang sagot natin. No, kasi nga total, no? Pero pag partial defense ito, kasi personal to a co-debtor, no, yung defense na yan, babawasan lang yung amount na babayaran niya, no? Mababawasan lang, pero hindi ibig sabihin na wala na siyang babayaran. Okay? Kaya kung kunwari, no, ito ulit si A, B at C. Solidary co-debtors. May utang dito kay X and Y, solidary creditors, okay, for 60,000 pesos. Sabihin natin itong si A ay minor. Okay? Pag si Y, siningil si A, magkano ang masisingil ni Y kay A? The answer is zero. No? Because the minority is personal to A. Kaya total defense ang treatment natin dyan. No? Kaya zero na ang pagbabayarin kay minor, no, or kay A. Pero kung kunwari, ang siningil dito ni X ay si C, magkano ang masisingil ni X kay C? 40,000. Okay? Kasi dito, equal ang sharing nila unless otherwise stated. No? At dahil personal kay A, yung minority niya, partial defense lang yan. Kaya yung share lang ni A ang hindi nababayaran ni C, kaya yung 40,000 masisingil pa rin dito kay C. Bakit ganon? No? Kasi pag itong si C, binayaran niya yung buong 60, no, at magpapa-reimburse siya, gagamitin din ni A yung kanyang minority as a defense for the reimbursement against C. No? Kaya kahit personal yan to A, pinapayagan na si C na gamitin yan dun pa lang sa pagbabayad sa mga creditors nila. Okay? Kaya nagiging partial defense lang, no, ang nagiging epekto nito. Okay? Now, pangatlo, kung sakali naman may payment, no, ng ate, or pang-apat, pag may payment ng one of the solidary debtors, it will extinguish the entire obligation. Okay? Pero if there will be two or more debtors who offer to pay, hindi required na yung nauna ang pipiliin ng creditor. No? Si creditor na ang bahalang mamili kung kanino yung kanyang tatanggapin. Hindi katulad doon sa demand, no, na pinag-usapan natin sa unang-una, na pag nag-demand na ang creditor, ang payment dapat sa kanya, no, hindi sa ibang co-creditors niya, sa kanya na nag-demand na ng payment. Okay? Now, take note also that any payment that will be made by a debtor will entitle him to a reimbursement, no, with regards the share of his co-debtors together with any interest if the payment was made on the due date. Pero kung binayaran yan bago ang due date, walang magiging liability for interest, no? So logical lang naman, hindi natin binabayaran yung pagkabida-bida, no, ng ating co-debtor. And kung sakali na merong insolvency na mangyayari sa mga co-debtors natin, if it pertains to the obligation or the creditor, or rather, insolvency ng isang debtor, walang epekto yan sa ating obligation or that of the creditors. No? Pero dito, yung share ng mga non-insolvent co-debtors natin ay tataas. Okay? Kasi paghahati-hatian nila yung share ng insolvent co-debtor nila. No? So let's give an example. Kunwari, no, ito ngang si A, B at C, ayan, solidary 60,000. No? Ang utang nila dito kay X and Y, solidary din. Insolvent, itong si B. No? Kaya itong si X ngayon, magkano ang masisingil dito kay B? 60,000 pa rin. Or insolvency C rather. Magkano ang masisingil ni X kay B? 60,000 pa rin. Kasi as to the obligation itself and the creditors, walang effect na insolvent na yung isang co-debtor. No? Pero pag tinanong dito, magkano ang marireimburse ni B kay A? 30,000. Kasi nga, tigto 20,000 ang share nilang tatlo, pero yung share nitong insolvent debtor, paghahatian na nila. No? Kaya magiging tig 10K sila dyan, 30K na ang share nila each. Kaya yan yung magiging amount that A will be required to reimburse B. No, ganun na magiging effect when we talk about insolvency. Pwede po ba maging defense ang insolvency? Hindi, no? Kasi nga sabi natin, walang effect yan with regards the obligation and the creditors. No, this is a specific provision provided there na magiging effect nito. Okay? Now, the creditor may proceed against any one of the debtors and ang demand sa isa sa kanila ay hindi magiging obstacle kung gusto niya pang mag-demand ulit. No, sa ibang mga co-debtors, allowed pa rin yan. And supposedly, payment by a solidary debtor ay hindi magiging entitled to reimbursement kung nagbayad siya ng obligation at the time it was already prescribed or naging illegal na. No? Kasi nga dito, natural obligations na yan, they cannot be compelled to perform it anymore. Pero kung may debtor na makonsent siya at binayaran, sa kanya na lang yan. No? So hindi rin natin siya nire-reimburse dahil hindi naman na dapat demandable yung obligation to begin with. Okay? Now take note also na supposedly solidarity can exist I don't know bakit wala sa aking slides, pero I think nasa handout nyo to. Even if the parties are not liable in the same manner. Are not liable in the same manner. Okay, paano natin yan i-illustrate? No? Kunwari itong si A, B at C ay solidary debtors. Okay, itong share ni A, let's say ay due on December 31, 2024. Yung share naman ni B sa obligation ay kapag pumasa na siya ng LECPA, October, si Pali pa rin. Sepali supremacy. No? At itong si C naman, no, demandable yan dyan, June 1, 2024. Ang utang nila ay 90,000 to X. Okay? So dito, let's say June 4 ngayon, no? June 4 na. At ang sinisingil ni X ay si A. Magkano ang masisingil ni X kay A? No? The answer will be 30,000 pesos. Okay? Kasi out of all the obligations sa share nila, ang demandable pa lang ay yung share ni C. Pero dahil nga sila ay solidary, ang kanilang mga obligations, any one of them can be made to pay the portion that is already due and demandable. No? Kaya again, solidarity can exist even if the parties are not liable in the same manner. Okay? Siguro this will be the most complicated na that you may encounter with regards solidary obligations. Okay? Now, ano naman tayo pag joint? No, isa lang ang tatandaan natin dito that they are independent of each other. No? Kaya hindi natin pakikialaman or yung vices or defects with regards any one of them does not affect the other. No? Kaya nga, kung magkakaroon ng demand yung isang creditor sa isa pang debtor, yung default nandun lang sa debtor na yon. No, hindi pa magiging default yung ibang debtors natin kasi nga independent ang obligations nila with each other. No? In fact, yung interruption ng prescription natin dito dahil nag-demand na ang isang creditor ay para lang sa creditor na nag-demand. No? Hindi magiging beneficial yan to the other co-creditors kasi dapat magkaroon din sila ng sarili nilang demand. Okay? Kaya kung sakaling isa sa kanila ay insolvent, wala din yan nagiging epekto sa obligation ng ibang mga parties. It will not even increase the share in their obligation. So let's give an example. Kunwari, meron nga tayo dito, A, B, and C, liable to X and Y for 60,000 pesos. Nothing in the problem suggests solidarity. No? Kaya ang presumption natin dyan, joint. Ang debtors natin, joint ang creditors. Ganito lang ang magiging technique natin. No? Kapag joint ang mga parties, 3 ang debtors natin, 2 ang joint creditors, imumultiply mo lang yan para makuha mo dito yung number of obligations na meron tayo. So, 6. No? Kaya yung 60,000 natin, kapag dinivide mo yan by 6, 10,000 will be the amount of each of the obligations. So, how does that look like? Si A may utang kay X, si A may utang kay Y. Okay? Si B ay may utang kay X, si B ay may utang kay Y. Okay, si C ay may utang kay X, si C ay may utang kay Y. Ayan. Okay, lahat yan tigta 10,000, all 6 of them. And each of the obligations are considered independent of each other, no? So ganun lang ang technique natin para mabilisan, no? Ilan ang ating joint debtors, ilan ang ating joint creditors, you multiply them to get the number of credits or number of debts. Now, and again, they are all independent of each other. Kaya kung kunwari, etong si A minor, okay, etong si B insolvent, tapos si X naningil kay C. Magkano ang masisingal ni X kay C? Yung 10,000 lang, no? Na utang ni C kay X. Okay, 10,000. Kasi wala siyang pakialam na minor si A, wala siyang pakialam na insolvent si B. Now again, each of the obligations are independent of each other. Ngayon, kung sakali lang na maka-encounter tayo na pinaghalo, no? So kunwari A, B, and C are joint, okay? May utang na 60,000 kay X and Y, pero ang nilagay dito solidary sila. No, dito 3 ang debtors mo, 1 ang bilang natin sa solidary parties. No, kaya pag minultiply mo yan, we have 3 obligations. So any of A or A rather will be liable to X or Y for 20,000, B to X or Y, C to X or Y, tig to 20,000, and they are still independent of each other. No, ganun lang ang concept natin diyan. Pag isang side solidary, isang side joint. Okay? So, disjunctive, again, ito na yung may 2 or more creditors or 2 or more debtors, but we will be applying here the rules on solidarity. Now, when we talk about disjunctive obligations. Alright? So, wala nang problema. Again, nakalagay lang dyan, debtor 1 or debtor 2, liable kay creditor, or debtor is liable to creditor 1 or creditor 2. Okay? Now, as to performance of the prestation, ang tanong kasi dito, ang general question that we are answering here, is it capable of partial performance? No, yan ang nagiging tanong natin dito. And if the answer there will be yes, then it will be divisible. If the answer there is no, indivisible. Ang pinag-uusapan natin dito ay yung prestation. No, kung divisible ba siya or hindi. Okay? Now, indivisibility does not necessarily connote solidarity. Kapag meron kang multiple parties, ang titingnan mo pa rin na rule dyan ay yung solidary and joint obligations natin. No, kaya hindi porket indivisible ang prestation, automatic kagad na solidary na. No, in fact, kung silent pa rin ang problem at multiple ang parties, joint pa rin ang magiging presumption natin. Kasi nga, solidarity exists only if agreed upon or stipulated when the law so provides or the nature of the obligation provides for solidarity. Okay? Now, the law provides for presumptions, no, na ito ay presumed divisible if it can be performed for a certain number of days of work. No, like for example, kumuha ka ng contractual employee, no, kinuha mo siya for a 10-day work. Yung pag-perform niya ng 6 days is partial performance na, no, kaya divisible ang treatment natin. Or ito ay by metrical units. Like for example, no, you hired a contractor to construct a 50-meter road. Yung pag-construct niya ng 30 meters is partial performance, no? Kaya divisible yung performance ng prestation. Or kung ito ay susceptible by partial performance or payable by installments, no? Kaya kung 10 installments yan, yung pagbabayad ng 4 is considered partial performance natin. Okay? Now, indivisible naman, kung ito ay definite things, okay? Like for yan, kadalasan yung nagiging example natin. Or kung meron not susceptible for partial performance or by law or stipulation or intention of the party, it is considered indivisible in character. Okay? Ngayon, kadalasan pag tinanong ito sa board exam, no, ang kasabayan nito yung multiple parties din. Okay? Kaya dito, again, pag indivisibility does not necessarily connote solidarity, pero dahil joint ang obligation nila, no, hindi sila pwedeng ma-prejudice or rather the creditors can only be prejudiced by their collective acts. Hindi pwede yung act lang ng isang joint creditor. On the part of the debtors, however, pwede lang maging demandable yung obligation if all of them, no, ang naka-receive ng demand na ito. Okay? And if one of them will be insolvent, hindi magiging liable yung others for their respective share. Kasi nga, joint pa rin, no, ang kanilang nagiging premise. Kaya kunwari, ayan, kunwari itong si D1 at si D2 nag-agree to give to C a specific cow. Okay, so dito yung cow na specific thing, no, is indivisible in character. Okay, pero it doesn't necessarily mean na solidary kagad itong si D1 at si D2. No, kaya kung sakaling magde-demand si C, no, laban dito kay D1 at D2, dapat yung demand niya will be to both of them. No, hindi pwedeng kay D1 lang, hindi pwedeng kay D2 lang. Hindi magiging valid demand 'yon. No, at kapag yung isa sa kanila, ito, will not be able to perform, no, his part of the obligation, i-convert natin into a monetary obligation na lang. No, yung pagbabayad or yung pag-perform ng obligation at liable lang yung isang party who is at fault, no, or did not comply not only with the share but also as to the damages, no, that resulted to the non-performance. Pero yung ready na mag-comply will be only liable for his share. Kaya example dito, na itong si D1 ay ready na. Okay? Itong si D2 ay hindi pa ready. Okay? Na mag-comply. Ang hirap talaga niyan pag yung isa hindi pa ready. Na dapat talaga timing is kung saan na. Okay? So, kung nara yung count natin dito has a value of 80,000. No? Tapos nga, dahil hindi ready si Dito at hindi nag-perform ng kanyang obligation, ano kayo na magiging extent ng liability nila? Si D1 liable lang for 40K na share niya at si Dito yung magiging liable for 40K plus damages. Okay? Ang idea pa rin dito, independent of each other pa rin ang kanilang mga obligation. Kaya D1 cannot be made liable for damages dahil ready naman siyang mag-perform ng part niya, no, doon sa obligation natin. Eh, hindi naman pwede i-compel ni C, no? Alam nga naman sabihin ni C kay D1, o ikaw ready ka na pala, i-deliver mo na yung kalahati ng baka. No, wala na bang ganun kasi nga indivisible nga yung obligation natin. Okay? Na kung sakali solidary, ayan, wala na tayong problema. Dahil any one of them can be made to perform the entire obligation naman. No, kaya dito, no, pag hindi nakapag-perform just because one of them is not ready, anyone can be made liable for the entire obligation na. Kaya kung kunwari, no, dito, balik tayo dito, D1, D2, pero solidary daw. Ang kanilang obligation to deliver to see a specific cow. Specific cow. Ayan. Tapos itong si D1 ay ready na, pero si D2 ay hindi ready. No, nag-demand si C kay D1 lang. No, magiging valid demand na ba yan? Yes. No, dahil nga any one of them can be made to perform the entire obligation. Pero kinulang ng pera si D1, no? At yung kay D2 nga, yung kay share ni D2 ay hindi niya kayang abonohan, no? In that case, pwede bang kay D1 singilin yung buong 80,000 plus damages? The answer is yes. No, kasi nga any one of them can be made liable for the entire obligation na. Ang catch lang dito, magkano ang pwedeng i-reimburse ni D2 kay D1 or dapat ma-reimburse na ma-receive ni D1 from D2. Yung 40,000 na share ni D2 at yung kanyang damages na binayaran. Kasi ultimately, the non-performance still resulted from the unreadiness of D2, no? Kaya pwede pa rin yung damages na inabonohan ni D1 ay masisingil din niya doon sa co-debtor na hindi nagbayad. Okay, sir, hindi mo ba pwedeng na i-deliver pa din yung cow at magbabayad na lang yung isang party? Pwede, no? Pero ang premise nga ng mga example natin ay nagkaroon ng non-performance. Kung na-perform ang obligation, edi wala tayong problema, no? Wala na tayong pag-uusapan kung na-deliver naman talaga yung cow. Okay, kaya nga ang nagiging provisions natin ay pag hindi na-deliver dahil dyan nagkakaroon ng problema or yung kakailangan ng solusyon ng batas. Okay? Now, lastly, no, with regards the kinds of obligation will be an obligation with a penal clause. Ang idea lang dito is that there is a penalty, no? And the penalty stands as a substitute for indemnity for damages and interest. Ang ibig sabihin yan as a general rule, dahil may penalty ka na, no, hindi ka na makakasingil pa ng interest and damages dahil yung penalty na lang ang magiging magiging demandable in the event of non-performance, no? Yan na lang magiging demandable. But there are 3 exceptions to this rule, no? Kaya sila exceptions dahil pwede pa ring magkaroon ng interest or damages. Like if there is stipulation, no, na aside from the penalty, meron ding liability for interest and damages, or the debtor refuses to pay the penalty, then interest or damages ang sisingilin ng creditor natin, or kung merong fraud in the fulfillment of the obligation. Because the penalty will be applicable to the non-compliance and the damages will be demandable because of the fraud, no, in the performance or fulfillment of the obligation. Yun nga lang yan, hindi pwedeng mag-substitute. Hindi pwedeng sasabihin ng debtor, no, na bayaran ko na lang yung penalty. Hindi ko na ipe-perform yung obligation unless that is expressly reserved for him. And the creditor cannot demand for both. No, na i-require niya na i-fulfill yung obligation, i-require niya pang bayaran yung penalty unless that right is clearly granted to him. Or kung nag-demand siya ng satisfaction ng or fulfillment ng obligation at hindi ginawa, no, in that case pwede niya nang i-demand yung penalty. Okay? Now, take note, however, na pinapayagan ng korte, no, hindi ito automatic. The courts will be the one to reduce the penalty in the event, no, that the principal obligation has already been partly complied with or irregularly complied with. Or kung sakali, that the penalty is considered iniquitous or unconscionable. Yun nga lang kasi, when we talk about part or irregular compliance or being iniquitous, lahat yan ay questions of fact. No, kaya ibig sabihin nito, kailangan pa yan patunayan through trial, no? Kaya korte ang nagde-determine kung marireduce ba yung penalty or hindi. No, yan ang nagiging basis natin for the reduction of the penalty. Okay? Now, the other classes of obligations, ito in one board exam question, no, natanong sila as minor. Okay, classifications of obligations. Kaya lang naman yan minor dahil wala silang specific chapter, no? Kalat-kalat lang yan sa mga provisions ng Civil Code. Hindi katulad ng joint solidary, alternative, facultative, no? Makikita mo siya na may sari-sarili mga chapter. Kaya ang naging take tuloy ng iba, major classification daw. No? Pero there's no such classification as to major or minor under the Civil Code. Pero kung sakali man na itanong yan, ito yung mga minor classification dahil lang walang specific chapter. No, unlike the earlier classifications that we have mentioned. So, into subject matter, we call it a real obligation if it will involve an obligation to give. Okay, personal kapag to do or not to do. As to affirmativeness, positive, it is required something to be done, like to give or to do. Negative naman kapag omission, yun nire-require natin. So, not to do or not to give. And as to the parties that may be involved or may be obligated, unilaterally, only one of them will be obliged if both of them will have their respective obligations. We refer to this as a bilateral obligation. What does expressly reserved for him mean? Stipulated. Ganun lang kasimple. No, na pinayagan siya or binigay sa kanya ang karapatan na iyan. So yan na ang ating mga classification ng obligations. Alright? And